So, to reiterate the question, why is it that when audio companies update their gear, it's frequently regarded as worse? Now, I will admit, this is complete speculation on my part because I've never worked at any of these companies. I'm just a dirty, stupid consumer. I'm a consumer of this stuff and I say, I like it or I don't like it. That's my entire knowledge on this. So I have to speculate here, but I do have a couple of theories. My first theory is that people become a little bit nostalgic, and I don't mean, oh, that microphone was on that one thing, how nice. I mean that people might prefer sounds that they're familiar with, and a lot of this older gear was very prominent, and we heard it a lot on recordings, on a lot of classic recordings, which could make people say, I like that sound, without realizing they were almost conditioned to like that sound because they heard it a lot. But I think this theory creates a chicken and egg situation. I don't know if people now like those vintage microphones because they heard them a lot, or if people heard them a lot because the people recording genuinely liked them. I'm guessing it's the latter there. I don't think that audio engineers and the folks who run recording studios would say, I think people will one day really want to hear the U87 over the U87 AI. So let's go ahead and use that. I think they legitimately just use the mics that sound good. So I think I kind of answered my chicken and egg situation. Secondly, the second theory is they're altering the product because the old methodology was too difficult or the parts are no longer available. Two things come to mind here. The brass CK12 capsule, which was used in the AKG-C12, and I believe the original 414, but it was so difficult to manufacture, and if I'm not mistaken, a large amount of the capsules that they created, that they built, did not pass the standards that they had, and they ended up having to throw them away, that they had to alter the way they manufacture the capsule, and then you don't end up with those CK12 brass capsules anymore. That's because the methodology, the manufacturing process was too difficult, and you ended up with too many faulty, or you ended up with too many capsules that didn't pass their standards. The second example here is illustrative of a part no longer being available that's required for that piece of audio equipment, and the obvious example here is the Neumann U47. Telefunken made the tube for the U47. It was a big old metal tube. It was a military grade tube, if I'm not mistaken. And they stopped making it, so Neumann said, well, heckin' shootin' butts. I guess I cannot use this. I can't make this mic anymore because it's reliant on that tube. And then they ended up getting a different tube that was glass and creating the U67. So it's not an exact one-for-one situation that you're asking about. It's not a modified U47 V2, but they lost access to the part because it was stopped. Manufacture on that part stopped, so they had to create a new version. And the third option that I have, the third theory, is they are making a trade-off in terms of sound that they think is worth it. And the U87 comes to mind here. They increased the output level for the U87 AI, and they improved the signal-to-noise ratio. And they probably thought this meets people's expectations. This answers concerns that studio engineers had, and it sounds close enough. And you would expect that to be true because it uses the exact same capsule from the 87 to the 87 AI. But you know, audio nerds, they refuse to accept it. The vintage one always sounds better. Oh, it doesn't sound as good. The new one stinks compared to it. And maybe it does. I don't have access to a brand new 1984 U87i or U87 to compare to a modern U87 AI. So I am unable to tell you how close they are. I have listened to a few samples, a few comparisons, and I do hear a bit more mid-forwardness to the original, a bit, and it was also a bit smoother. But I think we really are splitting hairs, and I think it's probably just comes down to the audio company actually believing they are improving the product. They are making it better. And in some instances, you will make a slight trade-off. You may give up a little bit of that smoothness. You may give up a little bit of that buttery midsection to get a hotter output so you don't end up with as much preamp noise in your recording. And that's probably going to be a good thing, especially as you move into more digital recording where you end up with 20, 30 tracks stacked on top of each other. Get a cleaner recording, and that's a good thing. So those are my 3 theories. I don't know. What do you think? What do y'all think of why companies adjust or manipulate or change or update their audio equipment? And why does it always suck? Why does it always get worse? These companies are so stupid. They take products and they ruin them. They're so much worse.